Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Mr. Young, and this is your introduction to me. I'm so super excited to have you in my class this year. Obviously, we would rather be meeting in person for the first time, but we can't do that. So we're gonna just roll with the punches, and we're gonna do this. This is distance learning 2.0. That's what we're calling restarting here in the fall, doing distance learning just like we did back in the spring, except for better. This time we're gonna have some of the wrinkles ironed out that kind of made it a little bit difficult for some of us, and we're really going to put our heads down and figure out how to learn as much as we can, almost as much, if not more, than we would have learned in the classroom if we were all together. So super excited. I know this is going to be a great year, even if it's going to start out strange and we're going to have to sort of figure out how to make things work as we go. That's really going to be the name of the game, is being kind and being flexible. That's a really good word, flexible. We're just gonna, like I said, we're gonna roll with the punches. If something comes up, if our technology stops working the way we know that we want it to, and it's frustrating, well, we shrug our shoulders, we figure out a way to work around it, and we keep on rolling. That's gonna be, like I said, that's gonna be the name of the game this year. I know you can do it. I know I can do it. I've been practicing my flexibility, stretching, getting used to figuring out how to make this work. So I'm here this morning to tell you a little bit about myself. You don't get to meet me in person, so maybe you don't know, you haven't even seen me around campus, or if you're new to Walnut Grove, you maybe haven't seen me ever before. So let's introduce ourselves. My turn first. So my name is Mr. Young. That's me. Oops. And let's roll. So, Mr. Young, I am, in fact, an Oregonian. I was born in Eugene, and I grew up in Prescott, Arizona. My family moved to Arizona when I was a kid, about under 1 year old. When I was 6 months old, I think we moved to Flagstaff, Arizona, and then I spent most of my life in Prescott, which is a lot like Bend, Oregon, if you've ever been there. I grew up, left home, moved to Oregon, moved back to Oregon from Arizona. My family still lived in Arizona for a little while, and now they have all moved to Jacksonville, Florida, which, if you know the state of Florida, is shaped kind of like the number 7. Well, Jacksonville is right up there in the top right-hand corner of that number 7. So it's pretty close to the ocean, and they do occasionally get some of these big hurricanes like we're seeing about this time of year. I have one younger brother. His name is Greg, and he has 7 kids. That means that I have 6 nephews and 1 niece just for my one little brother. And they're great. I love talking to them. We might even have a guest speaker from my brother's children come visit us and tell us about how things are looking in Florida these days. I do still live in Oregon, very close to Vancouver, just over the river. It takes me about, says 19 minutes here on the little map. So I drive to school when we're in person at school. I'm going to be teaching mostly from home during virtual learning. So if you need something from the school, you can go there, and there's going to be people working in the office, but I won't be in the portable. I'll probably be here at my house doing teaching. Here's a nice picture of my brother, who's the tall guy in the back on the left. My aunt and uncle are the older couple in the back on the right. My brother's wife, Jen, is there in the back on the left. And then that's 6 of their kids in this picture. Now you can probably imagine I said there's 7. Well, Jen in the back was pregnant with number 7 when this picture was taken. Does anybody have a guess as to what event this picture might have been at? Anyone? If you guessed that it was a wedding, you're correct. I am, in fact, a wedding, and that was the family photo from Mrs. Young and I's big day. So we got married on September 6th. Our anniversary's coming right up here. And it was a really wonderful day. About 5 years ago, we got married. Super special day. We got married at a summer camp on the Sandy River and spent the whole day hanging out with our friends and family. It was wonderful. So when I married Mrs. Young, she has 2 siblings, so now I have 2 other brother and sister-in-laws, and her brother Kevin has 2 children. They live in San Francisco. Her little sister Kieran just got married a couple of weeks ago here in August. They came up in Oregon, and we had a tiny little ceremony with just 10 people because of COVID, right? We couldn't have a big ceremony like usual, but it was wonderful and lovely. And My wife, Kylene is her full name. She goes by Kai. She grew up mostly in the Midwest states like North Dakota and Wisconsin. And she went to school in Wisconsin as well as in San Francisco for a little while. So Mrs. Young and I don't have any children, but we do have these two furry puppy dogs. Charlie is the brown guy closer to the camera in the front. He is about 9. He's really big. He weighs about 70 pounds. He's what they call an Australian Shepherd, at least part. He's a mutt. We don't really know what all of his breeds are. But Charlie is just a really energetic dog. Even at age 9, he is a bottomless bundle of energy. He always wants to be going on runs or walks or whatever, chasing squirrels in the backyard. Lucy's 7. She came to us from a shelter, same shelter we got Charlie, but she came up from Tijuana, Mexico, which is a city just over the border from San Diego, where she was picked up on the streets and then sent up to Portland, where they knew that they could find someone to adopt her. And she's been in our family for about 5 years, and we love her so much. She's wonderful. So just a little bit more about me. I really like getting out into the woods. Camping and backpacking is my favorite thing in the world to do. It makes me really happy. I love going to see new places. And I also feel like it really helps me to find my calm center and get focused. So when I don't go camping or backpacking a few times a year, you can start to see it. And just so you all know, I'm really jonesing to get out there in the woods again right now. It'd be wonderful. A couple of other things that I really like to do is working on my house. Mrs. Young and I bought this house about 12 years ago, and it was really a mess when we bought it. There had been cats living in the basement with no litter box, so you can imagine what that was like. And we really have done a lot of work to make it super nice. So probably over the course of the beginning of the school year, you'll get to see some of the house and some of the hard work that we've put in. I'll probably tell you some stories about it because it's really great for talking about math every once in a while. Obviously, love teaching. It's my favorite job that I've ever had. And you may find this out about me, but I've had a lot of different jobs, probably more than most teachers in my life. And you'll get to hear some about that too. And then, of course, spending time with my family, just like everybody else. That's my favorite thing to do in the world. A few more of my favorite things. My favorite color is purple. You'll probably see me in purple. You'll see things around the classroom or around our Canvas classes online in purple. That's my favorite color because it's the best color. Did you know that purple used to be the color for royalty because it was so hard to make? I just love that about it. My favorite food is burritos. I like to joke that I could eat a burrito every meal, every day, 7 days a week and be perfectly happy. And I've done it sometimes for a while. My favorite book is A Wrinkle in Time. It's a wonderful story. We might even read it aloud this school year in class because it's so great. They made a movie out of it a few years ago with Oprah in it. You may have even seen it, but it's really good, and it's actually part of a series. All of the books in the series are great. My favorite sport, so I put football, but if you're paying attention, you might have noticed that I spelled it differently than you're used to, and that's because I like what the world calls football, but what we here like to call soccer. That's my favorite sport is soccer. I love playing it. I love watching it. I'm a huge fan of the Portland Timbers and how they like to beat the Seattle Sounders, which always makes me happy and Mr. Delgadillo a little bit sad. So yeah, big fan of soccer, football. I'll be out there when we get our field back here, hopefully in the spring. I'll be out there playing soccer like I haven't played it for 2 years because just like you, I actually haven't. Isn't that wild? And so just a couple more slides here. I'm pretty new at Walnut Grove. I've only been here this will be my 4th year at Walnut Grove. Super happy to be at our school. I think it's a wonderful school. Really excited about the new building that maybe we'll get to move into in the spring. We'll see. So before I got my job here at Walnut Grove in 5th grade, I was a substitute teacher mostly in Portland, the couple of districts, handful of school districts right over the river in Portland. And I love doing that, but would obviously much rather have my own classroom. The last thing I'll tell you about is before I came back into teaching, like I said, I've had lots of different jobs. I was what was called a sustainability manager. And so the company that I worked for, we were always looking at our factory where we made things, food and stuff like that, and we were trying to find ways to save electricity, save water, save energy, so that when we made our stuff, we were using less resources, and there would be more of those resources left for other things. So that was my job. I loved it, but I really like working with kids more than I liked sitting in front of a computer and working with adults. So here I am. I think I found the perfect job, don't you? A couple of other things. I have 2 college degrees. I graduated from NAU in 2008 with a degree in education, elementary education. And then I went straight from there. I moved back up to Portland in 2010, graduated with my second graduate degree, or excuse me, my second degree, which was a graduate degree called a Master's in Business, and that came from Portland State University. Just a few pictures to help you get an idea of some of the things that I like doing and some of the places that I've been. So I said I like camping and hiking. These are 3 wonderful trips that I went on. You know, I grew up in Arizona, so I like to go back there. And a couple of years ago, I got to go visit with my friend Kyle, and we did this really long hike in the Grand Canyon. So that's what that top picture is. I've gone on some solo trips with Charlie and Lucy, and so that blurry thing is me trying to get a selfie with Charlie, but he wasn't standing still for it. This picture on the bottom is a panorama that I took when Mrs. Young and I went on a long hike in Peru. And we came across this little lake, and it was seriously the most amazing, most beautiful place I'd ever seen. You know how they say in movies sometimes it's so pretty it made you cry? Well, this place was so pretty, it really literally brought tears to my eyes. Just so amazing with the glacier up there and the lake. Ah, so beautiful. I want to go back. I've also gotten to go on a hot air balloon ride once in my life. That was really amazing with Mrs. Young and I. Really early in the morning in California one time several years ago. It was pretty fun. There we are at Machu Picchu, that really historic place in Peru that we were hiking to in that last slide. There's Charlie playing in the snow. We like to go out in the winter when it snows a lot, and he loves bouncing around in the snow. You can see he's a pretty happy guy. That's his tongue hanging out if you hadn't noticed. He likes it. And then my mom and dad, this was when I graduated from Portland State University a few years ago. Pretty exciting. Mom and dad came from Florida to visit with us, and Mrs. Young graduated at the same time, so we got to celebrate big time that way. So that's a little bit about me. Super excited to have you in class. By now, you probably have some questions about me after that slideshow, and I've been talking for a little while, so happy to answer any questions. There is a questions discussion board in our module. We'll talk about how to use that on Tuesday, but you can start writing down questions on a piece of paper right now. If you have questions for me, send them to me in email, save them for when we get together on Zoom. Any of those sorts of things are going to work. I can't wait to meet you. And guess what? You get to make a slideshow about yourself, too. That's going to be one of our early assignments. So you can be thinking about what sorts of information you want to share. That's about it for this time. Can't wait to meet you in person someday. In the meantime, thanks for being in my class, and I will see you so super soon.